test where you are, is to see what is the vision and where are you now. And then begin the process of discerning the steps to move into the realization of your vision. Also, what in your current experience supports and what inhibits the vision? You know, we've all moved through times in our experience in which we have limited our beliefs, certainly our beliefs in the truth of our being. And there are times in which we have accepted the limiting beliefs of others and taken those on as our own. The poet Rumi wrote, "Don't be satisfied with stories, how things have gone with others. Unfold your own. Unfold your own story." And oftentimes, I sense this to be true for my life. That in those moments of constriction and confinement and limitation, oftentimes I am responding to, I am reacting to the limitations of others that have been projected onto me. And so during this lesson today, during this talk, during this presentation, I invite you just to begin to think about the ways that we limit our lives, you individually, the ways that you either support or inhibit the expression of God's good in your life, the ways in which you support or inhibit the full flourishing of your divine self in this human experience. Certainly, you are an individual expression of God's unlimited power and potential and wisdom and creativity and life and wholeness. You are an unlimited expression of that. And the only thing that limits us is there's on an engine, there's a governor, right? We are the ones who are governing the flow of that expression in our lives. It's like we stand on a hose at times and wonder why there's not water coming out, right? So look at your life and begin to discern those ways that support or inhibit your flourishing as a human being here in this place. That supports or inhibits you living into your vision. You know, I think in this culture, particularly in our Western, particularly American culture, it's a can-do kind of attitude. We got to get things done, right? And so because of that, we are all or nothing people in our culture at times. We want it now. We want instant gratification. We want the 5 easy steps to spiritual enlightenment, right? And we forget that this is a process. It is a process of unfoldment. It is a process of growth. It is a progressive process. It is one that leads us from a first step into the fulfillment of our divine self, of this experience of flourishing, right? But it takes time. It takes an orderly process. I think it's in Acts. It's Luke who writes this. And he says that everything in the early community of Christianity was done decently and in good order. And there's wisdom to that, to do things in good order, to set things in motion correctly, but then also to allow that good order to take root. And I think here is a quote from Mark chapter 4, verses 26, 28 that help us understand this. And he said, this is Jesus speaking, "The kingdom of God is if a man would scatter seed upon the ground and should sleep and rise day and night, and the seed should sprout and grow, and he knows not how. The earth produces of itself first the blade, then the ear, then the full grain in the ear. But when the grain is ripe, at once he puts in the sickle because the harvest has come." I love that line. The earth produces of itself, right? But we plant the seeds. We sow the seeds. We do things decently and in good order. We plant the seeds. We do what is ours to do. And then we trust that God will do the rest. That this process of unfoldment, this process of demonstration will do its work. And then the harvest comes. So this process of living in abundance requires something of us. We set it into motion. And as I was thinking about this, it seemed to me that there are these components. These aren't necessarily new to me alone. There are others who write and think about this as well, but this comes from my gleaning of things over the years. First is commitment. Commitment. I was very blessed when I was at Yale Divinity School to have two wonderful faculty advisors, wonderful theologians. The first one is Catherine Tanner. Now, you may not know much about her, but she is a rock star within academic theology. She writes about an economy of grace, and I love that. I told her once it fits right with our unity teachings because she writes about the universe, the world being a place of abundance, and that there's more than enough for everyone, right? And so she, from her philosophical and theological perspective, looks back and forward to theologians before her and kind of paints a picture of us, of a future that we could live into. The other faculty advisor I had for the last year I was there was Miroslav Volf, and you may know about him. He is a rock star among public theologians in that he writes books for you and me. He writes books for people who are not in academic settings. He's written a lot about interreligious harmony, and particularly within the Muslim perspective. He grew up in Croatia and lived there during the Balkan Wars. And so he understands this. He is the son of a Baptist minister. He was the protege of a great theologian by the name of Jürgen Moltmann. And I know some of those names don't mean anything to you because, again, those are folks who are writing for academic theologians. But Miroslav has stepped out of that. And so I invite you to pick up some of his books, particularly on his conversation with Muslims as a Christian theologian. But the book that he's most recently written, I think this is his most recent book, is called Flourishing. And he's doing a lot of work right now, particularly at Yale, around human flourishing, but also what it means to live a good life. And again, he is trained as an academic theologian, so he looks to the past, looks to what came before him. He looks to tradition and scripture and reason and all of those foundational things. But he also looks at culture as it is now and sees all the ways in which we are and are not flourishing as human beings in this moment. And so for him, flourishing means a sense and a deep and abiding satisfaction that only comes as we love God, self, and others. And I love that. It's so simple, right? It's so simple, but yet so profound that flourishing, we flourish as spiritual beings in this human experience as we love God, self, and others. Sounds simple, but yet it is so difficult to do. And so it takes commitment to hold that idea high in our minds and our hearts and to allow that to be what we live our lives through, the prism, the consciousness, the awareness that we live our life through so that we flourish. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, said, "God is the source of a mighty stream of abundance, and you are a tributary of that stream." God is a mighty source, a mighty stream of abundance, and you are a tributary of that stream. And if abundance and flourishing also mean loving God, self, and others, how are we then a tributary of that stream? How are we committing ourselves to embody a consciousness of abundance, of human flourishing? That commitment is the means through which we focus our creative energies, our spiritual energies on our goal. Now, commitment is threaded through all of this. It takes commitment. It is the first step, agreeing, assenting, consenting to the movement of spirit within us is the first step toward attaining that goal, whatever it is. So let's talk about that dream. So commitment to our vision. Another theologian, I've been rereading some of the things that are on my bookshelf, and Paul Tillich is a theologian that I also studied. He's one that I studied in Unity Ministerial School as well. And he's also one who wrote as a public theologian, but his works were in the 50s and the 60s. And so we don't read them as much as we used to, right? But his work is powerful. And he writes that when we make a decision for anything in our lives, let's say we create a dream, a vision, a goal for our lives, we are culling out from the realm of possibility. Those are almost his exact words. We are culling out from the realm of possibility what we want to express. You see, the realm of possibility is open to us to create whatever life we choose to create within this context of what it means to us to flourish as a spiritual being in this human experience. But vision is a decision that we make that brings focus and intention and deliberation to our goal. A vision is the manner in which you agree to align with the creative flow of the universe and be available to you. And a vision, quite simply, is anything that stretches you. Anything that stretches you is a vision. Anything that causes you to go to the edge of your understanding, perhaps, beyond your comfort zones, is a vision. Now, vision becomes wishful thinking, becomes fantasy, when we don't ground it in our commitment to be an instrument of God, to be an instrument of love, when we don't ground it in this understanding of what it means to be a human being a spiritual being in this human experience, what it means to be a spiritual being itself. And so we ground our vision in the truth of our being as we align with the creative flow of the universe. And then it's important for us, as it is in any garden project, to clear the field, to release old ways of thinking and being and behaving. It's important for us to acknowledge our fears and then release our beliefs in limitation or the permanence of negative experiences. So I offer you today a technique for prayer, one that most of you in the room know quite well, but one that is a method that really opens our hearts and lifts us into alignment with this flow of divine energy, of power and potential. It is affirmative prayer. Eric Butterworth shares in Discover the Power Within You, prayer is simply opening our lives that we may receive what God has already been trying to bestow. Prayer is conditioning our lives with God. And so in Unity, we teach affirmative prayer. These are positive, declarative statements that align our thinking with what God has already given to us. This abundance of health and wholeness and well-being. We begin our service every week with a powerful affirmation. There's only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. Our offering statement, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. These are declaring the truth. And it doesn't mean that we don't have those moments of prayer in which we supplicate God for something in our deepest and darkest hours. But that is a moment in which we are allowing our emotions, our being to be, in a sense, cracked open so more and more and more of God can express in and through us. But again, the type of prayer that I'm talking about today is what Butterworth says, opening our lives so that we may receive what God has already been trying to bestow. There's that great line from a song. Did you hear me say? We're going to sing this song sometime. You can't beat God-giving no matter how you try. You can't beat God-giving no matter how you try. God is always wanting to, out of God's givingness itself, wanting and willing and waiting and able to move in and through our lives, to prosper us, to flourish in and through us so that we flourish as well. And so we plant with these positive affirmations. We clear the field by releasing old things, old ways of believing, clearing those out. But then we do our planting. We plant the seeds with these declarative statements of truth. And then we tend the garden. We wait patiently, we weed, we water. I love this quote, this saying, to spirit then supply is infinite and instantaneous, to consciousness it is progressive. To consciousness it is progressive. So we plant the seeds, we tend the garden, we continue to pull up any weeds, any negative thoughts that we might experience that inhibit the expression of our abundance, that inhibit our flourishing. And we let go. We let go. There's an interesting saying that a farmer doesn't dig up seeds to see when they are growing. But how many of us do that? How many of us do the deep soul, spiritual work around our goals, our vision, about what we define as human flourishing, and then we don't give it into the universe, into the power of God to bring forth in our lives? We keep digging up the seed. We're like a broken record. I think I told you this story. I'm pretty sure I did pretty early on when I was here, but when I was in ministerial school, I went through a divorce and I started dating someone about a year and a half after I was divorced. First relationship after my divorce. Now, I went from my mother's house to my husband's house, right? I didn't do the dating thing much when I was a kid. I was a young woman. And so here I am. Well, I was young then too, but younger woman, I should say. And so I was dating someone, and it just really wasn't going anywhere. Glad it didn't, because I have this wonderful man. But I had my friend Kim. We worked at Silent Unity together. I worked at Silent Unity while I was looking for placement after graduation and ordination. And so my friend Kim, who was she was a former wife of one of my classmates, and there were 2 or 3 divorces in our class. It's difficult to go through that process. And she got tired of hearing me go on and on and on about this relationship. So we had lockers at Silent Unity, and so one day she says, "Hey, Deb, come with me. I've got a gift for you. I've got something to give you." And so she hands me this plastic bag. I think it was a Walmart bag or something. I don't remember, but I remember it being a plastic bag. And inside of it, she had taken an album, a vinyl album, and broken it in half. She said, "Here." Well, I didn't take to that very well in the beginning. But I realized that was exactly what I was. I was a broken record, repeating the same things over and over and over again, and making no change in my life, making no change in the relationship. Whether stepping out of it or stepping closer into it, I was doing nothing except spouting like a broken record again and again and again. And I think we do that. We do that when we dig up the seeds to see if they're growing. There comes a time when we let go and we let that which is working in good and perfect order take care of it. So don't dig up the seeds to see if they're growing. And then harvesting, receiving. But as we know, receiving is but part of giving. In A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, he writes, "You cannot receive what you don't give." You cannot receive what you don't give. I love that. And giving is needed through this process, particularly as we receive. As the harvest comes, then we give. We give as a means to flourish. We give as a means to remain open to the abundance that God expresses in and through us. Giving and receiving are part of the same process. If you do one without the other, you become stagnant in your life, or you become depleted. If you give too much without opening yourself to receive, and then you resent, you fear. But what we realize is this is an abundant universe. The scarcity is only because we believe there to be scarcity. We live in an abundant universe. And then comes celebration, the celebration of the harvest. Eric Butterworth also wrote in his book, Spiritual Economics, a great book on abundance and prosperity, very balanced perspective. You see, gratitude is not for God. You are not obliged to thank God for your life, for your job, for your prosperity. It doesn't matter if you thank God or not, but it does matter to you. Meister Eckhart, I never give thanks to God for loving me because God can't help it. It's God's nature to give. I love that. I never thank God for loving me. This is written in the 13th century because God cannot help it. God loves. God is love. And so let's celebrate that with our gratitude. Let's celebrate that here at Unity Center of Cedar Rapids. Today we're talking about planting seeds and reaping harvest. Well, you see our plant seeds all the time. When you come here on Sunday morning, it just doesn't happen, friends. There's lots of people who are behind the scenes working. Laura knows this. Our music is so wonderful. And we hope that it plants seeds of joy in you, that the words of these songs go down deep within you to reinforce the message that we are giving you on any Sunday. The people who greet you at the door with a smile and a hello, hopefully planting seeds of welcome and joy, planting seeds that you are worthy and worthwhile, that you are worthy and deserve that beautiful smile that you were greeted with on Sunday morning. And when you go into the bookstore to get a cup of coffee, the folks who make that coffee for you, they are planting seeds. They are planting seeds, and hopefully you are reaping a harvest of blessings as you receive it. Those who volunteer in our youth education program, my goodness, they are planting seeds that these young ones will reap as they grow into adulthood, as they learn to flourish as spiritual beings in this human experience. Our classes, our book studies, those are all about planting seeds, helping you to glean a harvest. Our prayer and pastoral care, that your spiritual leadership team, which isn't just me, it's also our licensed Unity leaders, our licensed Unity teachers as well. Tending the grounds in the building. Some of you were here yesterday doing that. If you were here yesterday tending the grounds and the gardens, raise your hand. They're wonderful. It's so beautiful. Our children's garden is delightful. Again, planting seeds physically and literally, but also planting seeds of beauty so that when you come here, you reap the harvest of that blessing. The support for Willis Dady and the other organizations in our community, we tithe to some of them as well. Our support for our recovery groups that meet here. You know, there are dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of people who come in this building every week. We don't just show up on Sunday morning. There are people who come here for support, to cast a vision of freedom in their lives against addiction. They come here for support. They come here, and seeds are planted within them so that they can reap the harvest in their lives. The Elaine Fisher Community Cupboard. I come here every Tuesday, and I have made friends with some of the folks who wait in the line to receive the blessing of the food that we share. Friends, we are serving sometimes 50, 60 individual people on Tuesdays. That doesn't count their family members. That is planting seeds. Our trick or treat, plant seeds in the community of joy and laughter and fun. Our participation in pride events, interfaith events, especially for you, race and walk this morning, plant seeds of hope. You see, that's what Unity of Cedar Rapids is about. We're planting seeds and reaping harvests. And the seeds that we plant now, some of them we will never see the harvest of those, but we know the harvest will come. We know that the harvest will come. And so during this month, during our celebration of UCR, I invite you just to think about that, to think about how you, as a member of UCR, are planting seeds in your personal relationships, in your lives, in the world, in our community, knowing that the harvest has already come. God bless you.
Later on in this song, we're going to put the words to the chorus up, and I hope you join us singing along in the chorus. This song is about all the aspects that she was talking about, but I think mainly about the letting go, actually, and knowing what will be, and that it's all good. Let's see. So we're going to do the chorus 3 lines. 2, 1, 2, 3.
I've been planting seeds on the ground, watering them with my sweat and tears, scattering them all around. Guess it's what I'm supposed to do with my years. Funny thing is, I may know what I've planted, but never what will show. It always seems to be a perfect mystery. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail. What's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more.
Sometimes I still like to pretend I know what the harvest will be, but I was never really up to me. Funny thing is, when I just do my work and simply trust, it always seems that life is looking out for me. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar.
I am planting seeds, nothing more. And I am only one of billions of seeds.
When all is said and done, I just do what's mine to do and let it be.
Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, planting seeds. I am planting seeds, nothing more.
Now comes the time to bless our tithes and offerings. So if you want, there's a couple of things you can do. If you have money, you can hold that in your hand. If you are using one of the apps that we have on your phone, you can certainly hold that in your hand and give that a blessing. Also to note, if you're using the Tithely app, we have two options there now. You can designate whether to donate to just the general fund or to the fundraiser. So make sure you pick one or both or all of the above. And just think about how you're supporting this community. And we bless you and we bless all the tithes and offerings. So hold that in your hand and say the offering with, or the blessing with me. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am grateful.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. Gratitude before me. Gratitude behind me.
Gratitude to
To
the
the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed.
quick word. If you are ready to make your commitment for the fundraiser, there's a basket right outside the door. And or each week when you come in, if you just want to throw it in the offering basket, you could do that too. So thank you so much for your participation. So if the ushers would come forward. And if you have made a commitment, be sure to put a vegetable in the basket or a fruit. So yeah, Lisa has them. She's demonstrating in the back of the room, so you can. First of all, we surround these prayer intentions with our prayers and our love, knowing that God is mighty in the midst of them to bless, to heal, and to prosper them, to flourish in and through them. We release them, we let them go, trusting and knowing that all is well. And we dedicate and consecrate these tithes, these gifts, and these offerings to the will and the work and the way of the Christ, as it expresses through this ministry of love and service. And so it is. Amen. And now let's stand and join together in singing, Let There Be Peace on Earth.
That was meant to be with God as creator, family all we need. Let us walk with each other in perfect unity. Let this begin with me, let this be the moment now. Let this be my joyful vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Light of God surrounds us.
I am the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
I am the light of God.
The power of God protects us.
I am the power of God.
The presence of God watches over us.
I am the presence of God.
Wherever I am, God is, and truly all is well. God bless you all. Have a great week.
The last two verses.
Choruses? Okay.
Oh, if you were in the especially for you walk or race this morning, we want to take a picture up front. So go up with Susan to the lectern, please.
Ready? From F.
Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, planting seeds. I am planting seeds, nothing more.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm working, we're both working full time.
The double tree.